Welcome to the Unleashed Life, where ambitious women take control of their mindset, money, and mastery. I'm your host, Dr. Renée Baker. Let's get unleashed. Welcome back to the Unleashed Life. I'm your host, Dr. Renée Baker. And this is the podcast where we talk about what it really takes to break free mentally, emotionally, financially, and spiritually, and step into the life we're designed to live. And today, I have the honor of sitting with someone whose story is a living testament to what restoration looks like after devastation. Dr. Katrina Esau. She is the author of The Pain of Infidelity Births Purpose. She calls herself a midwife for the brokenhearted. And when you hear her, you'll understand why. She walks alongside women who've experienced betrayal, heartbreak, and loss, helping them rebuild through her 5 restoration pillars: forgiveness, prayer, self-care, walking in newness, and rebuilding trust. She doesn't just talk about healing, she embodies it. This conversation isn't about pain, it's about what's possible on the other side. Welcome to the podcast, Dr. Katrina. It's so wonderful to have you.
Awesome. It is a pleasure and an honor to be here with you, Dr. Renée Baker. I am so honored to have this conversation today.
Yes, and I've been really excited about this conversation because you talk a lot about pain to purpose. And I think that that's really powerful. That can resonate with a lot of a lot of women especially. And your book, The Pain of Infidelity Births Purpose, is personal, but also universal. But I know it took a lot of courage for you to be able to share your story. And what gave you that courage to share that story as a way to heal others?
So I think for me, it was coming across women, every time I would be in circles or be, around other women and just hearing the conversation, hearing the dialogue, recognizing even sometimes the pain and knowing what I had walked through. At first it was like, okay, well, I don't want to share. I don't want to have the conversation because, after all, who's going to walk around just, with a sign over their head, say, hey, I walked through infidelity. It's not one of those topics that just comes up. And the more I would have conversations and hear the pain that women were experiencing and the hurt and just being stuck in life. And I'm like, this is not it. Like, there is more to life than this. And surely I didn't walk through this for just me. And I didn't walk through it for nothing. Like, there was purpose in it. And so that was why I wanted to write my book and start sharing my story, because for me, it was about how can I help the most amount of people and have impact. Well, I can't do that all the time one-on-one. And so what are the ways then to put it in a book and to make it, public? So not only people locally, but women across the world. Doesn't matter where you are, what race you are, what ethnicity, none of that matters. Infidelity does not discriminate. And so that was my reasoning for sharing my story.
Yes, and that is courageous, and thank you, because this infidelity touches a lot of people and people don't talk about it, but it's a real thing. And I recently read a statistic that more than half of people experience something like this. So it is more prevalent. And as you said, it's not something that people talk about. So you're helping people by being courageous and sharing your story and turning your deepest hurt into a roadmap for hope, but also purpose and action, because it doesn't erase the pain. But from what I see, it transforms it into power when you channel it right.
Absolutely. And you said something in terms of like the statistic. And out of that 50% of women that experience infidelity, research shows that over 80% of those women choose to stay. But my question was always, it's one thing to choose to stay, but why are you staying and what's your quality of life when you make that choice to stay? Because we stay for all different reasons, whether it's for kids, financial stability, brokenness, whatever. And so that's another reason why it's like, if you're staying, regardless of whether you stay or not, my thing is you got to heal. And I want to help
Yes.
as many women as I can do that.
And I love that you're talking about the fact that more women stay. And now if you talk about it at brunch or you talk about it at church, more than likely people will say, cheating is a deal breaker for me. I am out of here. But that's not the statistic. The statistic is people stay. And what you're saying is, one, why do you stay? And if you decide to stay, you need to heal, because it could be like a cancer inside of you if you decide to stay and keep with that pain. So what do you offer to people? Because people don't know what you would go through. You don't know what you would do until you're in that situation.
And that's just the whole truth. Because listen, I was one of those people that if you would have asked me if I would stay with somebody that cheated on me, the answer would have been HE double hockey stick, no. Because that was a deal breaker. But as you just said, until you get in the situation, you never know what you'll do. And so, and for me, it was like, oh my gosh, because my first response was leave. That was the first response, I'll be honest with you. And then it was a matter of okay, checking in with my inner and my spirituality. And okay, more than anything in the world, I don't want to upset God, but I don't want to stay because of religion, though, either. And so I won't go down that road because that's a whole nother conversation, but I wanted to really know why I'm staying in this. Why am I doing the work? And for me, it was about generational blessing. It was about breaking a generational curse that was on my bloodline. It was about not having to have my daughter deal with and walk through those same things because I was too weak to be able to do it. And so it's so much and it's so packed when you think about that decision and that choice to stay in a relationship. And I feel like I
Yes, and
missed the
I
second part of your
appreciate that you
question.
said that. But you know, you answered it, because healing has to be a part of that decision, right? And that's what we get into, right? Because you call yourself a midwife for the brokenhearted, and that's a powerful metaphor. And your choice to stay, to heal, to break generational curses, to be a positive, I mean, obviously for your daughter, but what does it mean to you when you're helping women walk in that space? And how do you navigate it?
So for me, what it means is really being alongside and helping to push them past their own limitations, because a lot of the limitations that we have, they're self-imposed. And so as a midwife, I want to help you to get on the other side, because one of the things that I always say and hope is that I can help someone shorten their time. I can help someone shorten that time of pain that they have, because walk off my shoulders. Let me help you. Let me show you the things that I did, that I went through. Let me show you the triggers. Let me help you navigate those. What are some of the barriers? And here's the truth. It requires work. So no matter what I do, sometimes it won't cut your time in half. You may have to be in it for a long time. And that's one of the first questions I'm always asked from women is, how long is it going to take? I can't tell you that, because there's a lot of work. There's a lot of
Right.
things that have to happen. And what I have found in this journey of healing is some of this stuff, my bishop always say, it started early. So it started long before my husband ever
Mm.
cheated on me. It was some childhood traumas and things that I didn't realize were guiding and dictating the way I was navigating in life. So I had to deal with all that stuff. And so that's what I want to help other women do, is recognize what's at the root of it. Because yes, you're hurting right now, you're angry, you want to be bitter and all of the things, but what's the real reason? Is it because they violated the relationship? Is it because they lied? Is it because you feel like you look crazy to the world? I know for me, I'm a believer. And so I was thinking that like, how people are going to judge me? What are they going to say? Like, this is the person that's in the church every time the doors open and she walking through this and she's always, singing the praises of the Lord. And now here she is hurting. So we walk through all of those things. And it's my role, my desire is to help women. And when you get to those stuck places, no, you can't stop here. You got to keep pushing past. You got to keep going, because I promise you, there is joy on the other side of this pain. It's going to birth out some purpose in you. And that's what I want to help you come to full term. I don't want you to abort the promise on your life. I don't want you to abort your joy and your peace, all because you have this moment of pain.
Oh, that is wow. You just dropped it. It reminds me of a psalm. I think is it 34:18? Like the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. And you show up as a reminder in the flesh that sometimes we just need somebody to midwife us, to birth us into our next chapter. Because as you said, it's powerful on the other side, and healing is powerful from the inside out, and what it can do to restore you, your life, and your marriage.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And at the end of
And
the day, you need that. You need to heal.
right, no matter which your decision is, you have to heal, because I think we all know people who have gone through it, and you can feel that bitterness and that anger against the world. But that healing is, you do it for, would you say you do the healing for yourself, or just,
Absolutely. The healing is absolutely for you. It's for you because here's the thing. Like I said, whether you stay or you leave, you got to heal. Because if you decide to leave, you still going with you. And if you don't heal, it's
yeah,
going to come out. It's going to come out. It's in you.
that's right.
You got to get it out. That's why I tell people all the time, you can go from relationship to relationship to relationship because you're trying to run from hurt and pain, but you are still with you. You cannot separate from you. And so you have to be able to deal with the forgiveness. And I know I'm probably jumping right now, but it's here. Forgiveness is for you. It's not for the other person. It is all about you.
That's
And
right.
I think I know for myself, I grew up hearing, forgive you, but I'll never forget. That is not the right thing to do. Because if you're going to rehearse what was done to you, you're just stirring up that wound. You keep the wound there and it's open. You got to get it out. It's not about the other person, it's for you. There's strength in it for you because here's the thing, I don't want to keep you hostage. I don't want to hold you in the prison of my heart
Right.
because that's giving too much control away. And listen, I always say I'm a recovering control addict. I don't want to give no man that much control and power over me. You're not.
Yeah, that's right, Dr. Katrina. I know that's right. And I think more people need to hear that, whether we're talking about this or anything. Like, heal for yourself. And I love what you said. You're going to be with you. So you can, wherever you are, you're still there. And if you carry that pain and you carry that anger and that hurt, that's still going to be with you. And it will manifest itself in ways that you may not be aware of.
Absolutely. Listen, I had one
So
client
as
I
you're
work with and she walked through, same thing, but she hadn't done her work. And that's what I'm here to help you do your work. But 20 years later, she was literally at a family reunion. The child that came out of the infidelity showed up, which she had known about it, but for whatever the reason, this day the mess hit the fan. And what I had to explain to her is because you never dealt with it. As women, we pack it down, pack it down, pack it down because we got to show up on the job. We got to show up as a mother. We have to show up as a wife. We have to show up as minister. We have to show up as friend. We have to show up as the board leader. We have to show up in all these roles and capacities so we don't have time. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. I just got to get through there. I just got to get through. No, it's like the jack in the box. I'm telling my age, but back in the day, there was this thing called the jack in the box. And you turn it and you turn it and you turn it and you turn it. And every now and again, that thing just pop up. That's what trauma and hurt is. If you compress it, compress it, compress it, don't never deal with it, it's going to pop up and it's going to pop up when you least expect it. And it's going to be at the most inopportune time and going to make you look cray cray. So deal with it and heal.
I think that, yeah, I remember the Jack in the Box, and you don't know, and it's always a surprise when it pops up. Like you don't know, and that's a perfect metaphor for for trauma. Like it's going to hit the fan, and you're like, whoa, where did this come from? That was 20 years ago. never dealt with it. So dealing with it, you talk about the 5 pillars, right? And you teach the 5 pillars of forgiveness, prayer, self-care, walking in newness, and rebuilding trust. Let's talk about those pillars and like just share more about the pillars, because I'm also wondering what's the hardest one for women to start, and do you start them from the beginning or does it depend? So talk to us about these pillars of restoration.
Absolutely. So I always start at forgiveness. I always say forgiveness is the first step, and it is the hardest step. And it's the hardest for several reasons. Number one, there's what we have to realize when we talk about forgiveness is there are several people that you will 9 times out of 10 have to forgive. One, of course, the person that violated you. Absolutely, you have to forgive them. For me, I had to forgive myself. We all do. And I'm going to tell you the truth. I was the hardest person. It was hard for me to forgive myself because as a strong woman, how in the world did I not know this? Why did I overlook the signs? Why did I overlook the flags? I knew better. Why? You go through all of that. And the other thing that people don't like to talk about is I had to forgive God. And why? Why would you say that, Katrina? Because I am your daughter. I am your child. I am your favorite. How in the
Right.
world did you let this happen? Because you know all things. So how did you let this happen? But what I had to realize, and I realized it real quick, is I was not going to get through this hurt and this pain without him. It's not possible. And so I had to forgive him knowing that he's sovereign, that everything, not that he necessarily caused it, but I knew that he knew it and he was going to work it together for my good. And I'm living the fruit of that right
Amen.
now. He's working together the pain of what I went through for my good. So that's always the hardest step. The other part of forgiveness, what makes it hard, is I like to say it's a process. And now I have a friend of mine, she'll say, Katrina, it's not a process. You just got to decide whether you're going to do it or not. Well, here's why I say it's a process. Because the moment you make the decision to forgive, it is just that, a choice. But there's things that you have to walk out. The pain doesn't go away just because you chose to forgive. The hurt doesn't go anywhere. Your emotions don't automatically decide to get in line. And so you'll say those words, but then something will happen and it'll trigger you. And all of a sudden you mad all over again. So you know what? You got to forgive again. And so that's why I say it's a process. Number one, you got to I use the acronym of ACT. You got to acknowledge where you are, acknowledge the pain, acknowledge who you need to forgive, confess it. Just be honest. You don't have to go walking around telling everybody or putting it all on social media. Write it in a journal. Confess how
Right.
you're feeling and what you got to do. And then you got to turn it over to God and you got to surrender to the process and know that, okay, I forgave today, but why am I mad again tomorrow? Because the pain haven't moved and you still got some work to do. And so that's one of the hardest, the forgiveness and rebuilding trust. Because how do you trust somebody that violated you, especially if you're in a situation where they have violated it multiple? And so that's where it goes back to the decision. And why are you staying? I always say you have to know your why because you can choose to forgive. It does not mean that you have to choose to stay. All relationships cannot be reconciled. I want to say that again for the person in the back because we feel like if we
I
forgive
was going to
you,
say it
gotta stay
again.
connected. Yeah, you do not have to reconcile with everybody. Sometimes it's not
Right.
possible for
Right.
various reasons. It ain't safe for somebody going upside your head. Yeah, forgive them, but I'm gonna need to forgive you while you over there, not in my space.
Right.
So it's
And
important.
that's, I mean,
Go ahead.
no, I was going to say, I think that that is a major thing too, because when people hear forgiveness, sometimes they don't realize that it's sometimes you forgive yourself, but that means that you don't mean you have to stay. Like domestic abuse it should be a deal breaker. Nobody beating on you, you forgive them and then they beat you up again. Like that's not viable. That's dangerous.
That's very dangerous. Very dangerous. I forgive you, but it's a wrap. Domestic abuse, somebody that's been violated. You're in a situation where you have
Yes.
repeated, the person just keep on going outside of your
Yes.
marriage covenant. There's so many things, and that's why, Dr. Renee, I don't ever want to be in a position to tell a woman whether she should stay or go. I truly believe that you have to know that. And I always say, I know that all women aren't believers. My clientele and the women that I work with, I prefer them to be believers because listen, you gonna need a higher power to help you get through this. And so I want you to know why you're doing what you're doing. I want you to have strength. And Dr. Katrina, I can give you the strength. I can encourage you. I can share. I can give you all the tools. I can coach you. I can do all the things, but I do not have the ability to give you the strength and the sanctity of mind that you are going to need. That comes from a relationship with a higher power. And that's why that's one of my pillars, because you're going to need it. There are many a days, as much as I know I love the Lord, that I just wanted to check out because I was hurting. And I have
Yes.
lost people in my family. I have lost friends, but I have never, and I never want to ever experience the hurt of infidelity. That is some kind of pain. It's some kind of pain. And I
Mm.
don't wish that on my worst enemy.
Wow. And it feels different for other people. And when you say that is the pain, it's just a combination of the betrayal and I was reading something from you, like just the lies, and they have to read the book, but I read this part with it, like when you found out, like how that showed up for you. So, can you talk a little bit about that, because that's real, and there's someone listening right now that is going through it, don't know yet, going through it and knows, and is trying to and working through it. And can you speak directly to them about that part of the betrayal and the pain?
Absolutely. I would say to that woman, it's real. Don't discount your feelings. Don't allow anyone to tell you to get over it. Don't allow yourself to feel like you have to move at somebody else's pace. Know what you need and sit in it. We have emotions for a reason. Feel them, but don't allow them to control you. Listen, I was coming from a women's conference from Orlando, Florida, when I called to check in on my daughter in the car with several other girlfriends, about to head home. And my child told me that they had stayed at another woman's house. That thing crushed me. But because I was in a car full of other women, I had to hold it together. But baby, when I got home, it was all she wrote. And so feel your feelings. Know that it is a pain. And the other thing I want to say is there are times when you're feeling like, why am I grieving? Why does this feel like loss? There it is. And you have to walk. There's five
It
stages
is.
of grief. And we think about grief of death of a person, but it's the death of your relationship as you knew it. It's the death of what you have lived
Yes.
up to that point as you knew it. So you are grieving death, not the physical death of a person, but you're grieving the death of what you once knew. Allow yourself to go through that. What are those steps? You're going to go through denial. You're going to go through anger. You're going to go through, you get to a place where you accept what happened to you. And here's the thing about the process of grief, it's not linear. You don't go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. You may go from accepting and acknowledging it back to denial, back to anger. You may
Mm.
zigzag, and that's okay. Keep zigzagging until you get to the place of where you are completely and totally healed. I would challenge you to be honest with yourself. If you're not honest with yourself, you can't do the appropriate work with the right tools, and you can't get the healing. Because here's the thing, sometimes you don't recognize that you're bleeding, but other people recognize you're bleeding. And I always tell people, don't bleed on the people. Go get yourself
Don't believe on the people.
healed. Do not bleed on the people. Don't get on social media bashing people, talking all kind of crazy, offering your 2 cents in a relationship and other people relationship when you ain't did the work in your own relationship. And yes, I said it just like that, Ebonics. When you ain't did the work in your own relationship, be quiet. and go heal.
Right, right. But that's such an important piece because, like you said, forgiveness and trust, where many people get stuck. But this is about like when you spoke directly to people, this is about taking the hook out of your own heart. So I love what you said. Don't bleed on the people. I might have to use that. Stop bleeding. Don't bleed on me. Like do the internal work. And I like also what you said. It's going to be a zigzag, and the betrayal of it and the grief of it is you're grieving your relationship. You're also grieving a former version of yourself, like the person you were before you found out, and then the person you become after you find out as you work towards that new version of yourself.
Absolutely. And that's where the other pillar, self-care, comes in. Because listen, when this happened to me, I it was then that I realized I didn't even know who I was. Because at that particular time in my life, I was trying to be a great mother, I was trying to be a great wife, and I was trying to climb the corporate ladder. That's what I was trying to do. I didn't know what
Mhm.
I loved doing. I didn't know what I enjoyed doing. And it was walking through this journey because when I got to the point, okay, who am I? What is happening right now? What do I even like doing? And so I had to start learning Katrina. I started, going places by myself. I started listening. I would go, I don't even know if they're still open. I think they are, but I would go to Mitchell's restaurant right there at West Shore Mall. And I would sit in there by myself after work. I would get me a strawberry lemonade and I would get me a shark fin. A shark fin is a huge slice of cake, but it's ice cream cake. Baby, when I tell you that thing is so good. And I would sit there and eat, and I couldn't eat it all because it's really enough for about two or three people. But I would eat until I would eat my heart's content by my enjoy. I had to start enjoying me because listen, my husband was my high school prom date. I've been with that man since I was 18 years old, and then here now you done. But I don't even know what I don't know who I am or what I like to do. I
Mhm.
would get up on a Saturday morning, Dr. Baker, and go my little happy self over to Orlando to the outlet because I love Brahmin. I am a Brahmin girl. I go to Brahmin. I would then
Okay.
go to it was called Mama Nim's, which I think they have closed, but it was Mama Nim's Soul Food. I would go over there and have me lunch and drive my happy tail back home. I had to start enjoying Katrina. I had put everybody else before me. I had to put myself back on the list. And then I had to prioritize me as number one on the list. Say, go ahead.
So, and I think that that's important because how many women at any stage forget who you are? We always put everybody on the list except ourselves. And it feels strange. I remember the first time I went out to dinner or went out by myself without the kids, without the husband, without anybody. And the first time it felt strange. I mean, now I'm a pro at it, but how did that help you through your healing? And that's a big reminder for women to do that. Take care of you first because life is going to happen. How are you taking care of yourself?
Life is going to happen. And listen, you're right. At first, it does seem awkward because when you're going out to eat and do all
Mhm.
these things, you want to do that with other people. But you have to learn to do it with yourself. When you first go, people like they looking at you, they wondering is she waiting on somebody? No, I ain't waiting on nobody. I'm it. And you wonder, but that's where I think we have to stop. Stop worrying about what other people think. Stop worrying about that's that whole
That's
thing,
real.
that stigma of, shame and guilt and how what they're gonna say. Sometimes we do stuff and saying stuff all because we wondering about what other people gonna think. Those people that they listen, they not up with you at night when you on that pillow crying yourself to sleep. They not there. So you got to
Right.
learn you and start loving you. I'm not telling you not to care for other people, but if you don't take care of you first, it's like they say every time you get on a plane, they tell you if we should lose the air in here, put the mask on yourself first and then help other people. Because if you lose oxygen and you clunk over, how you gonna help somebody? You done pass slap out because you trying to help everybody else. But if you put some air on you, get you some oxygen, and then help somebody else. We have to do it. And as women, we are such nurturers. And we think it's a badge of honor. We always say strong woman. I think that's, yeah, Yeah, we may have to reevaluate what
Yeah,
strength looks like.
that part. I think you're speaking to me too, because yeah, that is, we have to change it. I was like, I don't want my shoulders, they don't want to hold up everything anymore. Like strong, it looks very different. Strong means different things now than it used to. But you said, like you said, we're nurturers and we don't always have to be strong. It's okay.
It's okay. It is okay not to be strong. It really is okay. And just be honest. Listen, I cannot carry you today. My spiritual mother, she would say to me, she's like, "There's your little rear wagon. You can push it or pull it." She's like, "You ain't nobody. You ain't finna dump your trash over here today." And I have to remind myself of that. I want to be friendly. I want to help. I'm compassionate. I
Yes.
love people. But you can't dump on me today. I don't have the strength for it. I wasn't built for that. And we have to recognize we weren't built. We are not gods.
Right. That's another powerful reminder, because sometimes we have to say, not today. Not today, not in this moment, not right now. We can't carry, can't dump, we can't receive that. And it doesn't mean you don't care, just like you really do need to take care of yourself and put that oxygen on yourself before you can take care of other people. And that goes to your next pillar, which is walking in newness. So you kind of went through the forgiveness, you have prayed, you have asked, you've used the ACT acronym, you've kind of trusting God in this process. You're taking this, your self-care, and now you start walking through newness. And I feel like this is when you start finding your groove again and you start getting a little bit better. Talk about
It
that.
is. It is. So walking in the newness of life, it is exactly that. It is because at this point you're recognizing who you are, who you were created to be. Because we go through life a lot of times based on the labels and the demands others have put on us. But when you start doing your work, when you start taking care of yourself, when you start spending time growing spiritually, you start to recognize that I am fearfully and wonderfully created. I am the apple of his eye. I am above and not beneath. I am mighty.
Amen.
I am a peculiar person. I don't have to put up with this. I'm not what you spoke over me. I'm not dumb. I'm not stupid. I'm not a doormat. I'm not your slave. I am more than you have identified me as. And that's what walking in the newness. Walk in all of that. Walk in owning who you are. Walk in how beautiful you are. You made a mistake. You acknowledged something. You endured something. Whatever that is, you did it. It's done. You are not it. Go forth in who you are. Don't allow what, because here's the thing. It's not always the friends that speak negative over us or our enemies. Sometimes it can be parents, it can be children, it can be spouses, it can be the family and friends that are close to you that'll tell you you'll never be nothing. Your daddy was nothing. The devil is a lie. And when you
The
start
devil's alive.
recognizing,
And sometimes
yes,
us.
when you recognize who you are, that's what the newness is letting go of what you knew, of what you thought. No, no, no. This is who I, and I'm not going to let anybody take that away from me. If you need to exit stage left out of my life, so long, but I'm not going to dumb myself down to please you or to keep you here. I will not do it.
Now we don't let that sit, because I know that somebody is out here that needs to receive that. I mean, walk in your newness, do the work. We don't let no one tell us who we are. We're going to step in our power. We're going to step in our purpose. We're going to own who we are. And if you got to go, we wish you well. I wish you well. But I need to take care of me, and I'm walking in my newness. You kind of walk a little bit differently, I can imagine. As you know, you walk in your newness, your shoulders back, your head's up. Like, you got
Yes,
this.
yes. And listen, was part of that, what I had to learn is I didn't have no personal boundaries. I didn't have no boundaries. I
Mm,
was letting people call me any time of the day and the night, bombard my schedule, changing my day. What? When you know what's important to you, when you know who you are, when you know what's valuable to you will put boundaries in place to protect it. That's all boundaries are. People, people that don't have boundaries won't respect your boundaries, but you have to teach them. And either you are going to respect my boundaries
That's
or we don't have a relationship because this is important
That's
to me.
right. That's real. My mother always says, we teach people how to treat us.
You better say it.
And having those, yes, and having boundaries and saying, these are my boundaries, these are important to me. You do you, I'm gonna do me, but here are my boundaries. And we need to have them because, like you said, people who don't have boundaries, they'll be all in your space and they don't care. They are taking and pulling energy vampires. Like they'll just take from you and you wonder why you leave certain spaces and places and people depleted.
Say that. Say that. I tell people all the time, I say, listen, if you find yourself, because sometimes, we have conversations with people and all of a sudden you sad, you down, you depressed. And then they're
Yeah.
like, wait a minute now, what just happened? And if you notice that every time you talk to Sabrina, you feeling some kind of way, honey, you better start cutting those calls to Sabrina because Sabrina is
No, that's
zapping your
right.
energy.
Why are you plugging in and like just zapping and you're like, why do I feel this way? And you come up with all these different reasons, but pay attention because when you walk in your newness, also you'll recognize that. And sometimes I feel like this has happened, like even with me personally, I will repel certain people. Like I ain't for everybody and everybody is not for me. So my prayer, my protection is if it's not for me, like push them away. I didn't get invited to that situation. I wasn't supposed to be there. That person I thought I wanted to be a friend, they not a friend. That job that I thought I wanted is not for me. So if they start repelling, and I look at that one as God's grace, but also the discernment to know that I don't belong in every room because every room can't hold me. And I don't want to hold and uplift every other room.
You better say that. Every room, come on here now, that'll preach. Every room can't hold me. That is the truth.
Nah,
But
no,
we have to recognize that though, because a lot of time, especially if you're dealing with, rejection, you won't
yes,
recognize that. You won't recognize. You think you're being rejected.
yes.
No, that just wasn't the space for you. Man,
That's
that's good.
protection. And you have to walk through this work. You have to do this inner work to be able to realize that all those times that I thought that I was being rejected, right? And it could be in your, like we're talking about in the marriage and in the personal, like you said it's happening for our good. Like everything that's happening is happening for our good. This how, and I always say, use me, Lord. Like, what is this does this mean? How am I supposed to use this? There is a purpose in this pain. There is a purpose in this process. This rejection is protection. How am I going to use this for the greater good?
But that's the question. You asking the question. And when we ask that question, we can surrender. Because here's the thing. We may not know the trail. We don't know the end. But we are confident in this one
No.
thing, that this is not the end, that God is sovereign, and that there's always purpose. There's always purpose. And one of the things that I like to do when I start seeing stuff that's happening crazy, I'm like, okay, let me check my seed. What have I sown anything that would cause this kind of harvest to come? Because now listen, there's always going to be seed time and harvest. People think that's just money. No, you nasty to people, you mean to people, you gonna reap some nastiness and some bitterness and some mean people. And so, but when I check my seed and I'm like, I no. Nope. So I have to trust. That it goes back to trust. It's so much with that trust. You gotta trust that, okay, God, I have to trust you in this. I don't understand it. It don't make a lick of sense right now, but I know that some good is gonna come out of this. Something's gonna happen in me. I'm gonna learn something. I'm gonna learn maybe there's something on the inside of me that needs to be worked out, whatever that is. And I think if we do that introspection and stop being so quick to blame other people and to feel some kind of way because you weren't invited in a certain circle, and recognize, that it's for your protection. Perhaps you're just not ready. And when you're in it, you don't always understand it. But it goes back to we have to trust. We have to trust and know that there is greater. There is greater.
And I appreciate that you're saying that, because even as you were walking us through like the pillars, and then the last pillar is that rebuilding of trust. Sometimes if you're in a situation like betrayal, you start to blame yourself and you think, well, why did this happen? But God won't give us anything that we can't hold. And when it's time for it to happen, it's happening for you, not to you. And then understanding that, and then starting to rebuild the trust, and the bookends, starting with forgiveness and then rebuilding trust. I can imagine that that's a process in and of itself. So let's talk about that, because I can see that that could be really hard.
It is. It is very hard, and it is definitely a process because here's the thing. When you talk about rebuilding trust, that means you have to do the right behaviors consistently. And a lot of times in relationships, whether it's with your spouse, whether it's with your boss, with friends, regardless of who the relationship is with, people want to do something one time and think you're supposed to trust them. I'm sorry, it don't work that way. And so you have to do repetitively. Even when my husband and I were going through our healing process and our rebuilding process, we had to do some stuff consistently. Like he had to consistent. You just ain't gonna do this once and done, bro. You got to keep doing it. You got to do it until I'm okay. And that's the thing with rebuilding trust. When you have violated somebody's trust, you don't get to dictate how long it's gonna take before the trust is built. You got to do what I need you to do until I don't need you to do it no more. Now, to somebody that sounded like, oh, she
That's
controlling
real.
and she want to dictate. Oh, sister, that is not controlling. You can't allow somebody else to tell you what you need for you to rebuild trust. Okay, what do you mean by that, Dr. Katrina? For me, I needed to know. I had to have access to your phone anytime I get ready. I don't need to give you no notice. Let me see your phone. I need to have access to any and everything you doing at the drop of a dime. When you going somewhere, I need to know that you made it there. So we had this thing where we call information with confirmation. So you told me you going down to Jimmy House. I need to see a picture of you when you get to Jimmy House. We had all this stuff, and to some people that sound like, girl, that
Mm,
is so crazy. And after a while, it sounded crazy to me. But this is what I need. This is what it's going to take for me to rebuild trust with you. We got to keep doing some stuff. And ask me how long we did it. A long time, a long time, because you violated that. It took some years before we got to the place. But you got that's hey, and you got to figure out what it takes. Now there came a time where I was like, listen, we two grown adults. If you gonna cheat, you gonna cheat. I'm tired of being a private eye. I won't do this no more. I want to. And so there comes a
hmm.
time when you get there, but until you get there, you have to
Right.
do, and you got to be honest and see when you wherever you start, it may come a time where it's like, okay, well, I don't need that no more, but I need this. You got to vocalize it. Don't expect people to know what you need. I always have to tell women that because we feel like I've been with you for 20 years, 30 years, you ought to know. No, we don't. People don't read minds. And truth be told, what I needed 20 years ago, I don't need today. So set expectations, set your
That's
boundaries, tell people what you need, and
yes.
hold them accountable. You cannot rebuild trust without accountability. And if you don't want to be accountable, then you don't want to rebuild trust, and we can't be in a relationship.
And
It's
that's
just
important, because it sounded like your husband was saying, I'm willing to do, he was also willing to do his part to make sure, as you were walking through the pillars, that he was being responsive to your needs, and he was also willing to do that. Because sometimes you might have someone who is like, well, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that, you got to get over it. And then that's a different decision that you need to make. So you're not saying go along and get along. You're saying you're going to do the work for yourself, because that's important. But when it comes to getting to that place where you're rebuilding trust and they're not willing, then maybe you need to make some different decisions.
absolutely. And I
But
want to
you
touch on
decide.
that. Absolutely. And I want to touch on that for a minute because here's the thing. As I said earlier, process, and you got to know why. Because in the
Hmm.
beginning, my husband didn't want to do nothing. He did not want to do nothing. For the first 3 years of our separation, he wasn't trying to do nothing to fix nothing. That he was living his best life because I had to put him out, and he was okay doing him. But there came a time where he got a clue. During that time, I couldn't make my decision on whether or not I was going to heal based on what he wanted to do or not wanted to do. I had to heal for Katrina. So I had to
Right.
do my work, and I stood because I got clear at the beginning. You got to get clear at the beginning. What are you doing? Are you staying? Are you leaving? Are you rebuilding? What are you doing? You got to know what you're doing, and you got to know why. Why, Dr. Katrina? Because it's not always going to look like it's working, and you got to remember what you're working
Right.
toward. And if you have divided vision, it's not going to stand. You can't say, well, okay, I'm going to stay, but if he don't do this, and if this don't, and if this, and you got all these plan B, C, and D, you got divided focus. I had to be focused on one thing: restoration. I decided to go for restoration because of what God put in my heart. So I could not deviate from that. Did it always look like it was going toward restoration? Absolutely not. Did I ever question God and say, God, are you sure? Did I miss you? Did I hear you right? You better bet I did. You better bet, because there was some time like, God, this, like, come on now, just let me heal and bring me the man that's going to act right and do what you told him to do, because I ain't got time for this foolishness. There were many a days where I said that. And he had to remind me of the promise and remind me of what he was doing. It was some stuff in me. This is the other thing I want to touch on before we get off of here. When I started doing my work, now listen, remember I told y'all I was the one that was in the church. So I'm just knowing he finna get him. He ain't finna get me. No. When I started healing and doing my work, God started with me. He started showing me where I was going
Mm.
wrong. He started showing me where I was being hypocritical. He started showing me where I was doing things that I ought not have been doing. He started showing me Katrina. He was not worried about my husband. He wanted to get me right. He wanted to heal me and get the impurities out of me. Why? Because he knew it was hundreds of thousands of women that were going to need to hear my story, that were going to need to hear what I walked through, that were going to need to be able to relate to where they are, but also be able to tell them that there's joy on the other side. And so if I didn't do my work, I'd be sitting here bleeding on y'all. So you got to do
Right.
your work. Do your work,
Yes.
and don't let it be contingent on other people. I had to stand in the gap until my husband decided to do his work. It was 3 years later, after 3 years of separation, before he decided to own what he
Years.
did, admit what he did, and start doing the work. And that's what you have to do.
Wow. And I
Do
think
your
that's
work.
the do your work. That's so important. It's not as if you're saying to women, and this is important, and I want to restate this. You're not telling women to just take it. It's not as if you just said, okay, fine, I'm gonna start doing. No, this is a process, this is a journey. It was 3 years, okay, listeners, three or people are watching, it was 3 years. You had to go through your process, and then God spoke to you and through you so that now we get the benefit of that. And while that was happening, you were working on you, and then he got the message, and then he started to do his part. So I think that that is such a beautiful testimony about the process. You just didn't just set it and forget it. You work through it, and do your work is important, and that's a life lesson. That's a master class in life. Do your work.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
so part of this, I mean, wow, like you are just like going through it. Women are dealing with their emotions. There's grief and there's anger, and you're saying, don't hold this hostage. Like we can't confuse processing these emotions with living in them, and we need to create space for release and then for renewal, because that's how we get to the testimony of where you sit today, and that for the women that you work with and for other women that have done this work, where they get to sit and stand.
Absolutely. Sit in it, embrace it, and keep moving through it. Listen, there was a time where my emotions was in the driver's seat. They had me all over the place.
Mm,
I mean, literally had me all over the place. I had to learn what my triggers were. I had to learn what my barriers were. I share this in my story. There's an intersection in Tampa. It's on Dale Mabry and Waters. It used to be at Albertsons there. It's now City of Life Church. But I was at that intersection when I called the woman, and don't even ask me how I got her number. I don't know to this day. But I called and I heard on her voicemail, you have reached the home of her name and my husband's name. And that thing did something to me. And every time I would get to that intersection, it would trigger me. And I would go into this deep, dark place.
Mm.
And I didn't recognize it at the time that it was depression, but it would trigger me. So I started literally driving around town to avoid that place because I didn't like where it would send me. And there came a point where I had to acknowledge what was happening. And I had to ask God to show me how to get past this trigger. And I forced myself. I would purposely drive through that intersection because I'm not going to keep driving around Tampa, adding on time in this traffic because of this intersection. The intersection ain't going nowhere. Clearly, it ain't moving. So you gonna
Right.
need to figure out how to
Yeah.
deal with it. And so as women, we have to know what our triggers are, and then we have to seek how to overcome them because the trigger don't move, you know, but we can now. I don't even think about it. It doesn't bother me, whatever. And so there's different things, and we don't have the time to talk about it today, but triggers are crucial in the healing process because when they happen, they triggers come to disrupt. And that's what they do. When they show up, they disrupt. Some people derail, some people stop doing the work because the trigger came. But you can't stop. You can't let the trigger paralyze you. You can't. You got to get past it. And
No,
there are
lean
ways
into
to
the trigger.
overcome it. Yes. You got to overcome it. So I'm going to stop right there because, man,
Yes.
I feel it bubbling back up and I know our time is ending.
I just, I mean, but I know that that's really important to recognize those triggers and to lean into it. Like we're not about to, I mean, in your case, you wasting gas and cost of gas and time and moving around. And how often do we do that in life? Like we don't want to address the triggers, but you got to lean into it until it's no longer a trigger because then it doesn't have a grasp over you. It doesn't control you.
Yes.
And that is a big part of it. We just have to release it. We can't allow these things to control us, whatever that trigger is in your life.
Absolutely. Got to release it.
So release it. So now one of the things that you talk about is we're talking about storytelling and the dialogue and this healing journey is you host Women Talking Freely.
Hmm.
You are sharing your story. You're talking so freely about this. Why is this important for people to release and have this honest dialogue?
It's important to me. And I've been, praying and asking, I'm like, God, I want it to be a movement. It's normalizing healing openly. We have
Mhm.
normalized so much pain, brokenness, dysfunction. That is normal. And we deal and cope with it every single day. I share my story because I want people to see that it's not foreign. I promise you, if you're in a room of women, somebody done been through what you went through, going through what you went through, or are about to go through it. And we don't share because we are afraid of the shame, of the guilt, of being judged. And so we suffer in silence. And we don't have to. We don't have to. There's somebody that has come through it. There's somebody that can tell you, girl, do A, B, C, and D. But I can't help you if I don't know you need
Yes.
help. If everything is altogether lovely, there's nothing for me to do. And so that's why I share my story in such a
Mm.
free way. Number one, because I'm healed. If I wasn't healed, it wouldn't be this free and open. I can promise you that. But I do it because I just want to come on now. But there's such a negative stigma around healing. When you say, somebody needs to be healed, oh, girl, I don't need to be healed. I'm fine. Ain't nothing wrong with me. What people say, I'm highly favored and blessed of the Lord. Girl, no, you ain't. Do you see what you just
Yes.
wrote? Do
And
you
I
hear
hear.
you? Do you hear how you sound?
Mhm.
And so I want
Right.
it's nothing wrong with saying I need to heal. And also when we hear healing, we think of physical ailments like, blood pressure, cancer, these kind. No, there is healing for your soul. I want your soul to be healed. He said he desired that we prosper as our soul prosper. If your soul ain't healing, what's your prosperity looking like? Your soul, damn it.
That's real.
And so that's what I want. I want it to be normal where you can walk up in a room and people talking about how they was hurt and they overcame it. That I want that to be normal, not the lying and the pretending. Enough of that.
Everything is. Perfect. And I mean, I had to learn that. So, we both know Marilyn Shaw, and she was a guest previously, and she said, you can't heal what you don't reveal. And that stuck with me. I was like, girl, get out of my business. Get out of my business. And what I'm hearing from you is another validation is like when we tell the truth out loud, shame loses its grip. So
Newness is power.
we have to let this be our testimony. Yes, like we can't allow it, and we get so caught up. And I mean, I will admit that was me. Like I, especially in my corporate career, it was like no one is getting in. I would be a wall, a stone, and I wouldn't allow it. And that had its own consequences. And I'll tell you that I have embraced that, and I'm so glad that there are women out here like you that help us to have this open dialogue, a safe space to be able to talk. But it even doesn't even matter if it's safe or not, because it's your truth, is your reality, is your journey, is your healing. And that's an important reframe of how we see shame.
It is so true. And listen, I concur with Marilyn wholeheartedly. And it's so true though, because, and all of us have been there, Dr. Baker. All of us have. We've all, and we were taught that though. That's what I'm saying. You got to trace some of these cores and get to the root of it, because we were taught what happens in this house stays in this house. We were taught not to be going telling people our business. But that's why so many of us are falling apart. That's why mental illness is running rampant, because we're not talking. Open your mouth and say something. There's healing, but I can't help you if I don't know. I had one of my old mentors used to say, you cannot conquer what you won't identify. If you don't identify there's a problem, how will you ever conquer it? When we say we're more than
Yes,
conquerors, what are you conquering if you're not identifying?
right. Like, yes, yes. And this is for people watching and listening. This is, you don't need permission. It's time for us to conquer. We have to stop. It's so many unhealed humans walking this earth, using your phrase, bleeding on everybody else, when you have to identify, what do you need to conquer? What are you dealing with in isolation that you need to nurture in the world and yourself, and so that you're not out here just adding, spewing your pain and triggers into the community and world.
Exactly. And here's the thing, Dr. Baker, we want to compartmentalize things. Oh, that's just in relationships. That's just in marriages. That's just, no, the craziness that's happening, it happens in corporate America. It impacts the way you lead others. It impacts the way you distribute work, because you don't trust people, because you're hurt and you're bitter. You come and be nasty to your associates. We see it in the workplace. And that's the thing God had to help me with, because I was struggling with, okay, God, corporate America, that's my heart. That's why, I've been climbing that ladder for a long time. And it's like, and there here, you got me over here
Yes.
dealing with this stuff. But he's like, Katrina, women are women. I don't care whether you're in the boardroom, the prayer room, the ministry room, in the church, in the grocery store, y'all are all dealing with the same stuff. So stop sitting as a
Yes.
wall, as a safe, not opening your mouth. Nobody's asking you to walk up and down these people halls just da 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 da. But if I put you in a situation and I tell you now, say something, open your mouth.
Yes.
Open your mouth and say something,
Unleash that.
because they unleash it. They need what you have.
Mhm.
They need what's in your mouth. Shoot
Yes.
now. Don't be listening now, Dr. Baker. You
This is
trying to
that.
get
Yes.
me.
Yes, you are telling and you are speaking. This is what we need, because I don't care who you are. I don't care what, no matter what, everybody. And I'm gonna be the general. We have all been through something that we all have to work through. And many of us, especially if you are, in corporate, and you are, and foundationally, I built my career, or like corporate was my jam. Like foundationally, that meant everything to me. And part of being unleashed is just saying, I remove all the barriers, all the triggers, all the things that were holding me and cuffing me into living a life that wasn't representative of who I was called to be. That's what I'm hearing from you, whether it is in your marriage or in your life. We have to start releasing. And this is the invitation to people: identify and release those things that are holding us back, because it will keep showing up.
It will keep showing up. It will keep showing up. There is
Keep
such a
showing up.
freedom and a liberty that comes when you unleash and you remove the barriers. Listen,
Mm.
there was a pivotal moment for me. This was what, probably maybe like 5 or so years in to our process of doing the work and healing and rebuilding. No, it was longer than that. It was probably maybe around year 7 or so that we were doing our work, and a
Mm.
friend of mine invited me to a conference in Orlando. Remember, I told y'all this all jumped off when I was leaving the conference in Orlando. And she invited me to go to a conference there. And my first thought was, you want me to go back to Orlando? We know what happened last time. And she didn't know it, but this was a test to see, okay, how healed are you really? And I went because I'm like, I'm not going to miss out on this moment, because I'm afraid of what you're going to do, or if you're going to do anything, or if I'll get a phone call. I am not going to miss out on life. I love traveling, and I am not going to stay home because I don't know what you're going to do. The devil is a liar. I'm
That's
not doing that. And so I went, and when I tell you, I had a blast, and the Lord blessed. But it was at that moment when I realized that, girl, you healed for real, because
for
I
real.
wasn't worrying, I wasn't stressing, I'm not calling you, I'm not doing any of that. I am going to be present in this moment, and I
Hmm.
am going to enjoy this moment. And that is what being unleashed will do for you. That is what being free will do for you. That is what healing and doing your work will do for you. It will lift off these weights. The word says that to lay down every weight that so easily besets you. This is stuff that we picking up. We're carrying it. No, lay it down. Lay down the worry. Lay down the what if. Lay down the stress. Lay down the hurt. Lay down the pain. Lay it all down and do your work. I'm not telling you to be selfish. I'm not telling you to be a doormat. When I tell people to forgive, they think they have to be a doormat. But no, that's not what forgiveness is. There's strength in it. I'm telling you to take your power back. That's what I'm telling you. Take your power back.
Right.
You have given your power to too many people. Take it back.
Mm.
Take it back.
Yes. Take it back. And I love that you said take it back, because that means that you have it and you released it. You had it, you released it. Take it back, pull it back in. We all have power. Take it back.
Take it back. We have it. We have it.
We have it.
And we're the ones that are in control of who we give it to. Why are you so
Amen.
freely giving away your power?
I know that's right. So I was going to say, usually we'll say like, what is the unleashment? But you just unleashed it. That, and also like, as you explained it, like take your power back. But living unleashed is like refusing to let your past put a leash on your future.
Yes.
Like we're not doing that. We're not doing that.
We're not letting our
So
past put
with,
a
I
leash
mean,
on us. We're not going to let pain put a
mm,
leash on us. We're not going to let hurt put a leash on us. We're not going to let self doubt, insecurities, shame, guilt, none of that, because all of that keeps you leashed. It keeps you leashed, and it keeps you in
yes,
limitations. And we're not living that way.
we're not living that way. We are not living that way. And you, I mean, you have poured into us, and we're just so grateful. You do so much in the community. But what do you have new that's coming up? Anything new?
Absolutely. So I'm so glad you asked. So this week, actually, I'm releasing my new book, The Cheat Code: How to Heal Inwardly and to Rebuild Trust. It comes with a workbook that comes with it. I have poured into this. My first book, I shared my story about the walking through infidelity and the process that I had to walk through to heal and get on the other side. In the cheat code, I'm sharing like how I got outside of my mind, how I got out of that what if, how I got out of that paralytic stage. I'm sharing about, rebuilding trust. I'm sharing about forgiveness. I'm talking about so many different things. There's 16 beautiful chapters in this book. And I
Yes,
love the second part of it because I called it Girls Have Tools Too. And we do. Like we have tools that
we
position
do.
us to be able to, you know, to deal with the things that life throws at us. We got, in every toolbox, you're going to have a hammer, screwdriver, you got a flathead, you got some basic stuff. And in this toolbox, I'm sharing with you some basic stuff that you got to have in your toolbox because no matter what life throws at you, whether it comes from the relationship, whether it comes from family, friends, on the job, if you have these tools, they're going to equip you to be able to deal with life. And so I share all of that. And I'm so excited about this body of work. So, so excited for the book as well as the workbook.
Yes, this is so good. And you already know I cannot wait to get the physical copy. I know a little bit, but we ain't gonna tell everybody. But I can't wait to get the physical copy. I mean, this is this is just not the cheat code to this is the cheat code to navigating life. Like
Come on here.
this is the tools that we all need. So I'm excited about it. And, thank you so much for everything you do. And I do have another question because we talked a lot about your journey. But my question is for you, how are you doing today in this moment? How's the journey been for you and the restoration of your life and marriage?
That's a mouthful. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I'm at a place now where I get to see the fruit of my labor. God willing, come December, Christmas Day, my husband and I'll be celebrating 30 years of marriage. We've come so far, so far. Just the enrichment, even in our communication, how we do things together, how we prioritize one another. It's beautiful because I get to help other women walk through their journeys. I get to speak at various places and just empower women. And that gives me joy. It gives me joy to be able to help others, get to that place. I often think back of, being in that state, as I said earlier, of paralyzation. Like I knew all the things to do, but just felt paralyzed. I just couldn't move because I got so caught up in the what if it doesn't work? What if he does it again? What if this? What if? And I'm such a detailed, analytical person. So I got, they always say the devil's in the details. And he tried to cripple me with doing
Mm,
that. But then I was reminded that tomorrow belongs to God. And I would say to the woman today
mm,
that's in that place, that's stuck in all the minutia of the details, trying to figure out the how. We don't always know the how, but we know that there's a promise. And I would say to you, just stand strong, keep doing your work, don't be sidetracked, don't be bamboozled. There is joy, there is peace, there's love, there's abundance. There's just so much more on the other side of it. And that's where I want to spend this half of my life, focusing on the other side of it, because my story is what draws, and I'm grateful for it. And God keeps giving me stories, He keeps giving me experiences. But I don't want people to get stuck there. And I want people to understand that He may not do it for you the way that He did it for me. But if He promised you that He'll do it, just trust and know that it will come to pass. It will come to pass. And at the end of the day, it's about you, and it's about the many, many people that you will touch and that you will impart. The Bible says that your gift will make room for you. You don't have to go around trying to figure it out. Just walk in who you are. We always like to say, be your authentic self, but we don't. We want to do it the way somebody else did it. No, no. Do it the way you're supposed to do it. I said earlier, you are a peculiar people. You're a peculiar person. You're wonderfully and fashionably created in His perfect image. My fingerprints are not your fingerprints. My story is not your
mm.
story. I can relate to it. I can help you navigate through it, but own it and walk out your unleashed life. It's your purpose.
Dr. Katrina Esau just dropped so many gems. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much for reminding us that healing is not about forgetting what happened, it's about reclaiming who we are. And your story is just proof that forgiveness is freedom and that purpose can be birthed out of pain. So, to my listeners, to people watching, take this with you. Your healing is not optional, it's essential. We can't have you out here bleeding on other people. And as you walk it out, remember that this is for you and only for you. And you have to do the healing for yourself. So, Dr. Katrina, before we end this, please let people know how can they connect with you?
Absolutely. The best place to connect with me is to go to my website, www.drkatrinaesau.com. I'm on all social media except X. I am not there, but I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and you can find me at Dr. Katrina Esau. I'm on LinkedIn as well. Definitely connect with me. I would love to see you in a soon coming day on November 1st. We talked about Women Talking Freely. I'll be hosting an event in Tampa, Women Talking Freely. It is free, but registration is required. There's not many seats left, but I'm so looking forward to how God will move in that place and how He will heal, set free, and deliver some women. It's help. Help is available. Tap
Yes.
into
And
it.
hey, I listen, we are so grateful for you and for this message. So, listeners, if this episode resonated you, and I don't know how it couldn't, I'm going to say share it, subscribe to this podcast, help somebody else step into their power and their purpose, help somebody else take care of themselves. Listen to this episode and share, and follow Dr. Katrina because listen, she has walked us through some gems. She's given us her time and her truth. And we have to remember that no matter what we go through, no matter what, we have to trust that the best is yet to come. So thank you all for listening and watching. And we'll be back next week with another episode of The Unleashed Life. Thank you for joining us on The Unleashed Life. I hope today's episode has inspired you to break free from financial constraints and societal expectations, cultivating a mindset of abundance and possibility. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform and join our vibrant online community to share your own unleashed moments and connect with like-minded individuals. Until next time, keep breaking barriers, embrace your beautiful, authentic self, and live life unleashed.